Hi, and thank you for joining us for another Technical Tuesday. Of course, I had technical difficulties, which is why I'm coming to you a few minutes late. There we go. As you can see behind me, I'm back in my barn. Spring has sprung, and I'm back outside, which is wonderful. I'm really enjoying that, I have to say. So today's Technical Tuesday is, well, I would say it's different, but let's face it, they're all kind of rambles anyway, so maybe not that different. Um, Today's Technical Tuesday is actually the 1 year anniversary. We're going to go with birthday because that sounds more celebratory for our video series. I can't believe you've all been sticking with me for a year. So thank you for all of you and your persistence and I don't know if perseverance or I think patience is probably a good one. So thank you. But yes, so we figured in light of that special birthday, it would be kind of fun to not talk hyper technical today, but to look at how we do this and chat for a minute on how we even came up with this and whatnot. It's something that we've been asked several times, and that seems to come up in conversations quite a bit. Even this morning on one of my phone calls, um, was we seem to be doing a lot of different things at HIF, and it sounds like for most of you it seems to be working, but how do we come up with some of this stuff? And we jokingly say a lot of it starts with a joke, and then we kind of roll with it and go from there. So how Technical Tuesdays got started was we had finally we shut down like everybody else, and we're all zooming our staff meeting from our respective dining room tables because by that point in March, we had not set up our command centers yet at home. So we're all sitting at our dining room tables, and we're talking about all the programming that we canceled because we had a whole year worth of programming planned. And so what do we do, and how do we keep doing technical services? Because a lot of what I do is site visits, and so I'm not going to people's houses then. I'm still really not either, which works for me. Um, but yeah, so what do we do? And Kimberly in our office says, "Well, what if we do short videos?" We had been doing them, and she does them. She's great with social media and has been doing these little videos for all of our different events and things. And people love them. She's like, 10-minute videos are great. So why don't we do one? And I think I kind of just sat there for a minute, like, oh, okay, I could do a video online. Sure. I didn't really have a Facebook account. Before that or do anything with it. And I'm, as you can tell, not technically inclined since I have internet issues every week, it seems. But yeah, so. And I'm the person too who typically hides behind the curtain. I'm happy to write the grant applications and do all the work for a grant or whatever the actual work is that needs to be done. But I'm perfectly happy to prop up Pam or someone else in our office to stand at the podium and the microphone and talk about all of the stuff that we did because I hate being that person that talks in public. So this kind of started as that joke, Sure, we'll just do a 10-minute video. And I was like, yeah, no one's gonna watch it. Why not? I can do that, sure. Step outside my comfort zone for a little bit, and it works. I'm just talking to my laptop or my phone, so I'm not totally embarrassed and turning red like I would if it was in front of an audience of three people. Which is, I think, what I typically get for Technical Tuesdays, right? As I'm doing this. So, hello to the three of you watching me live. But yeah, so it started as a joke, and we kind of just kept going with it. So how do we come up with the topics that we talk about every week? Is another thing that I get asked a lot, and most of it comes actually from the technical service questions that I get over 2 weeks. It was tough when we were doing it every week because you can only come up with so much content every week. Um, but we had a lot that kind of got stored away, and that was really good. But a lot of it comes from questions that people ask me, whether it's from a site visit or someone has a question about, fire code. Or today I was chatting with a gent about his stoop and a railing, and so spoiler alert, that'll be some programming coming up. But yeah, so we kind of get some ideas from that. And when I don't have a couple ideas, because I'm super organized, and I keep pretending that I'm going to have a spreadsheet of topics to talk about that I can just kind of check off and schedule. And somehow every time I come up with this list, it magically disappears as soon as I go to put it into the spreadsheet, and then I have no idea what I'm talking about for the next week. So it comes up at our Wednesday staff meetings, and they look at me and say, "So, Cara, what are we putting in the newsletter for Technical Tuesday?" And my response is usually, Yeah, I gotta think about that a little bit more, and I'll send you a blurb on Friday, right before you send the newsletter out. So in case you have a technical Tuesday topic you want me to put in between Wednesday at about 10:30 to Friday at 9 a.m. is the ideal time to send me an email, so I can put it all together for the following week because that's when all the brain trust thinking happens. Um, but yeah, so that's how a lot of it comes up with, and again, Kimberly comes up with some of our best ideas, and I'm the technical nerd who is thrilled to talk about repairing windows and obviously paint colors and anything hyper technical because that's my background. That's my shtick is the more technical side of it. And I usually leave the architectural history and all of the more polished and academic things to the historians. So Kimberly so kindly says, why don't you throw in something about architectural styles? We show all these awesome buildings, but at the time we weren't doing tours. So why don't you do like a virtual tour and talk about an architectural style? So I say, okay, sure, why not? And then I spend pretty much the next week researching, um, which leads me into how much time does it take to actually put one of these together. I babble for 10 minutes. The Italianate one went for half an hour. Again, I'm sorry. Um, but they definitely don't take 10 minutes to do. Even the shortest, simple ones that I don't have to really do much research for takes about 2 hours to plan, put together, find photos, other material. The ones where I end up doing tours and looking on like Google Maps and picking out buildings and things like that, that took like 5 hours to put together. So what we thought were short 10-minute talks that would be easy to throw together totally turned into this big beast that none of us were really anticipating. So yeah, but it's fun. I have to say I'm really enjoying it. It definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, and now I can apparently talk to hundreds of people, and I don't freak out as badly as I used to. I still ramble and babble, though that hasn't changed. Um, so you've probably noticed behind me again. I said I'm back in my barn. Um, we don't have a studio at Historic Albany. We're not super tech savvy, but we make it happen, and we have a whole bunch of backdrops throughout my house. It's been pretty interesting over the last year. As many of you with kids know, with homeschooling that was required in the spring, and then my kids were home a lot throughout the fall and winter. If you have a runny nose, they have to stay home and get a COVID test. So we kind of have played musical chairs a little bit, and that's why the backdrop behind me has changed so much. In the summer, the barn was the quietest spot where I could run away from everybody and hide. So they're all having their summer fun and doing whatever in the house, and I'm out here in the barn. Which is pretty rustic. I'll have to take you outside to see it before I leave. That was our big one of our COVID projects was we finally stabilized our barn. We had the whole front wall jacked up and footings put in because footings are awesome if you have them, and we didn't, so we felt the need to put them in. And then we had to have our doors reconstructed with salvage, and we used windows from the warehouse, so we'll show that later. But yeah, so you can see the junk behind me is mostly from our construction project because everything had to move to one side of the barn. So all of this awesome filming happens on an old pool table with my laptop propped up on all of my canning boxes, because what do you do with all of the empty jars when they're not full of pickles and beets and tomato sauce and jam? They have to be stored somewhere. So we use them as the prop for my laptop so that I'm not looking way down at all of you. And then let's see, what else do I have? Yeah, my screen printing studio is kind of hiding out in my library. I started hiding all of my architecture books and things like that, so they didn't get colored on or used for school projects. So yeah, so I like to hang out here in the barn. Some of the other spaces that we use, and a lot of the indoor ones, we're done upstairs in what my husband and I now laughingly call our command center. Our 5-year-old wanted her own room before the pandemic. Our kids love to share a room. It's like the three little bears. They have their beds all lined up, and they're very close. But our oldest daughter decided she wanted her own room pre-pandemic. So we said, sure, of course. So we redid her room and painted the walls purple and put in all this awesome stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and she didn't want to sleep there anymore. And we were like, we need an office. So we commandeered it. So that's where most of my indoor streaming has come from, is actually our 5-year-old's bedroom. We have a desk. It started as a folding table and now is an official desk. And we take her toys and decorations and move them so they're not in the background, because no one wants to see Disney Princess Legos in the background of a Technical Tuesday video. So we would move that, and we filled one of the bookshelves with my architectural texts and my husband's mechanical engineering text, and it looks very official, for the 10 minutes that we use it. Um, but yeah, so we kind of go all over. I think every almost every room in the house has been used at least once, including the roof of our porch. When we talked about cleaning out your gutters and things like that, I climbed out the window of again my daughter's bedroom, and was sitting on the porch. And all of my neighbors across the street, a lot of them are retired or they work from home. Obviously, they did then. And they're all watching me climb out the window and talk to all of you on my cell phone, thinking, oh my God, what is she doing now? This woman is absolutely insane on her roof making a video. So obviously I will do anything for HAF, so there are no limits. Who knew? Um, let's see, any other questions? Oh, I have a question for all of you. Since you're all so responsive when I ask questions and things about topics. The image we included in our email is a close-up photo of one of the scarves that I wear a lot and the earrings. So I want to see how often all of you notice all of the architectural salvage or HAF signage that's included in our videos. Today I have my HAF shirt on, but that scarf that I wear, one of our viewers so kindly pointed out. It was very funky. It matched my earrings. The earrings are salvaged, so I wear a lot of salvaged jewelry. They're escutcheons for keyhole escutcheons that had been painted, and they match a scarf that has the HAF logo on it with a graphical pattern on it. So when people see it, usually just it's a riot of blues and whatever. But when you look really closely, it's our capital. There's all kinds of fun little details that we work in. So yeah, so that's how we make all of this happen. So it's been 1 year of kind of crazy, throwing it together by the seat of our pants. Hopefully goodness. So I think we're getting better with most of them. And when I have actual topics to talk about, and I get out my favorite prop or my note cards with where I write down all the questions you guys email me, because that helps me stay organized. So that's how we do it. So hopefully that answered some of those questions on how and why and all of that fun stuff. And you've enjoyed rambling around with me and checking out my barn. And before we go, I'm going to show you my windows, because let's face it, windows are awesome. Yeah, when we redid our barn, we had all of our windows were redone. And I don't know if you can see the wavy glass. Of course, it's dark. All right, we'll have to go outside. But yeah, we had all of our windows repaired, and the doors were actually somewhat remade from the salvaged wood that we could save. But the windows were saved and reglazed. And they look so nice. That's our other COVID effect, was our tree house. There we go. But the windows are the best part, so. All right, well, thank you all for joining me on your Tuesday, every Tuesday for a year. Hopefully you've all stayed well and healthy, and now that we're all back to work and whatnot, things are just going to keep getting better and better. So thank you again, and I'll see you with real content in 2 weeks. So thank you. Bye.